Good evening. Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff, and North Miami neighbors. My name is Cassandra Timothy, Public Information Officer, and it is my pleasure to share some of our city's upcoming events, programs, and initiatives. The City of North Miami is following the latest guidance from the Florida Department of Health and CDC regarding prevention measures for coronavirus. To keep our residents safe and informed, we have taken steps to ensure that City Hall and all city facilities receive extra hand sanitizer dispensers to ensure a safe and healthy environment. All the links today can be found on www.northmiamifl.gov/coronavirus. In 2020, North Miami is counting on you. Beginning mid-March, every household will receive a postcard requesting you to respond to the 2020 U.S. Census. If you don't have internet access at home, on March 12th, our city will begin providing computers available throughout all of our city facilities. The information collected from the U.S. Census helps our government make important decisions and allocate over $600 billion in funding. To learn more about the city's 2020 census outreach, visit northmiamifl.gov/census 2020. Mayor Felipe Yanemi's first quarter business luncheon will take place Thursday, March 12th at FIU Covent Conference Center. Sponsored by the North Miami CRA, this quarter topic is WON, Women Optimizing Now, celebrating women's leading in traditional male-dominated industries during Women History Month. On March 10th at 10 a.m., join the Community Planning and Development Department and the North Miami CRA at the Resilient NOMI Summit. Focus on tools, techniques, and takeaways in a changing environment. March 18th, excuse me. Industry leader panelists will provide input on how we survive, adapt, and create more resilient cities. The event will take place in the Wildcat Ballroom at Johnson & Wales University. RSVP via Eventbrite. Let's keep North Miami beautiful and help a neighbor in need. Join us for a Painted Proud community service project on Saturday, March 21st, beginning at 8 a.m. Sign up online at northmiamifl.gov/celebrate. All ages are welcome. Parks and Rec will begin spring camp on March 23rd at Keystone Community Center and Joe Celestine Center. Fees include all trips, activities, daily snacks, and related transportation. Visit northmiamifl.gov/parks to sign up or stop by our Parks and Recreation office. You're invited to the North Miami Police Department's inaugural community potluck and cook-off on Friday, March 27th at 4 p.m. at the Sunkissed Grove Community Center. Bring your favorite dish to share and enjoy a fun-filled night with your fellow neighbors. The City of North Miami is currently accepting Golden Passport application for qualified seniors and Social Security beneficiaries to ride the Metro Rail and the Metro Bus at no cost year-round. To sign up, visit the City of North Miami's Customer Service Center on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Still need help filing your taxes? The AARP provides free tax return preparation for low and moderate income taxpayers and seniors at the North Miami Public Library every Thursday from 10:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Assistance is available through April 9th. Stay up to date with the happenings in our city by visiting northmiamifl.gov and click on the Connect with NOMI icon on our homepage. Residents may also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you.
Hey, I'm the mayor now. Move to adjourn.
Second.
No.
You've done that before, Scott.
Yeah. You might as
Is
well.
there a
They went to
second?
go wash their hands. Like,
You should go ahead.
yeah.
No second.
Can they both leave at the same time?
Is everything on the agenda now in order? Order of business? Anything you need to change, delete, add?
No deletions or additions at this time, sir.
All right. The agenda is set, so we're going to move on and welcome back the mayor. Thank you.
You had your shot.
Thank you very much. We're done with, now we're gonna go to,
We just did order of business.
So there were no additions or deletions.
did
Mo-
we,
Motion to approve consent agenda?
second?
Unless a member of the City Council wishes to remove a specific item from this portion of the agenda, tabs A through E constitute the consent agenda. These resolutions and items are self-explanatory and are not expected to require additional review or discussion. These items will be recorded as individually numbered resolutions adopted unanimously by the following motion. Quotation marks that the consent agenda comprised of tabs A through E be adopted. End quotation. I have a motion made by Councilwoman Keys to approve the consent agenda. The motion was seconded by Mayor Bieneme. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The item passes with a 4-0 vote, excuse me.
Thank you very much.
Tab F, proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, approving the city administration's competitive selection of Dance Contracting LLC as the lowest responsible contractor to furnish labor, equipment, materials, and expertise required to perform the Northeast Fifth Place Water Main Improvement Project. Further authorizing the interim city manager and city attorney to negotiate and execute an agreement with the selected contractor for the provision of services in an amount not to exceed $655,737. In accordance with the terms, conditions, and specifications contained in invitation for bid number 73-18-19, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes. Tab F.
All right, good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, Alberto Estrade, Purchasing Director. The item that you have before you represents the results of solicitation number 73-18-19, which was issued by the Purchasing Department to request bids from qualified and experienced contractors for the Northeast Fifth Place Water Main Improvement Project. If you will recall at the last meeting, there were 4 contracts that were approved by this council having to do with sanitary sewer repairs. This item, as well as a companion item also on the agenda, is part of an ongoing proactive process that the administration, and in particular the Public Works Department, has to improve the utility infrastructure of the city. As reflected in the council report that was submitted in support of the item, the city received 15 sealed bids in response to this solicitation. Each one of the bid proposals was reviewed by staff and the city's engineering consultant, Craven Thompson and Associates. The results of this review and the bid tabulation is listed on the second page of your council report. Given the results of the bid tabulation, staff is recommending award to the firm Dance Contracting LLC as the lowest responsive and responsible bidder for a not to exceed amount of $655,737 and a timeline for completion not to exceed 210 days from the issuance of a notice to proceed. The scope of work for this project includes, but it's not limited to, the replacement of an existing water line with a new 8-inch water main running for approximately 2,200 linear feet. A copy of the actual solicitation, the plans, specifications, as well as the bid proposal submitted by Dance Contracting are all attached and included for your review as part of the council report. Here with me tonight in support of this item is the city's Public Works Director, Mr. Whistler Pierre-Louis, as well as a representative from Dance Contracting. And if you have any questions, we will be glad to take them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we're going to open it to the public first. And just a quick after public hearing. Public hearing is open on tab F. Public hearing is now closed. It's a sewer project. Why those 2 items, F and G, was not a part of last week long?
Through the manager, good evening, mayor, council, and North Miami community. Whistler Pierre-Louis, Public Works Director. We use an assortment of funding to fund our utility projects. Sometimes we get them funded by grants, sometimes we use the enterprise funds, and sometimes we use the SRF loans. These projects total about a little over $1 million. We did budget for these projects, and so we're using the funds from the utility funds to pay for these projects.
The one was the $4 million was budget also.
Yes, it was budgeted. However, we got a call specifically from Tallahassee stating we have funds for you to do a project. Give us a sewer project to do. So we fulfilled that request and proceeded with a loan for that project.
Okay. You were gonna add something.
Yes, I was going to add, these projects also were projects that were budgeted last year, and this is part of monies that were rolled over into the year for projects that weren't completed.
We do understand that, but was okay. You have a question from what I understand.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I do not understand what he just stated. Okay. Help me understand clarifying what you just said. So the $4.2 million we voted at the last council meeting, that was budgeted. And this one was budgeted also? Then, but he says something about a call from Tallahassee.
So we have, through the mayor,
Can you
Vice
open,
Mayor.
is your mic open?
it's on, Vice Mayor DeSome, we do have individuals in Tallahassee when projects are available that qualify for SRF funding. They will call us and ask us, do we have any pending projects that are in place in the pipeline that will qualify for this money, and that money was available. They did call us, and coincidentally, we did have the 2 projects that were ready to go.
This one?
No, the last 2 for the last meeting. We had those 2 ready to go, and that's why we used them.
But I thought we
Why you didn't add
took
those
a loan
two?
though. But then we voted to take a loan.
In the amount of $4.2
Yeah, $2 million.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Why
does
those
that-
2 was not added to that?
Those 2,
Yeah,
they
but
asked
since
us for those 2 particular projects.
Yeah,
Okay. My question have not been answered. So the call that we got from Tallahassee to take the loan, or what was the call for?
Through the manager, the call was for a loan for a sewer project. The state has funding for water projects and sewer projects. Therefore, a sewer project was provided. The loan was
No,
specifically for
okay.
the sewer project.
Last
This is
council
a wa-
meeting, sir, I understand that, but last council meeting, we voted on the item, and I was told that the 4.2, whatever the amount was, that we had the money, it was my understanding, but we wanted to pursue the loan because of cash flow reason. So is it that reason, or did Tallahassee suggested? I'm just trying to find out, how does Tallahassee play a role into this
It
the
was both,
conversation?
sir. And as what the Public Works Director was just saying is, we got a call that there was money available for sewer projects. These 2 projects here are water projects. These are water main projects.
I'm not talking about these. I'm just talking about last week.
That's me now. You're telling us that they said there's money available for sewer project, but there's no money available for water project at this time.
At this time, yes.
That's why you are paying from the utility fund to cover those 2 items. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. We're paying with the utility funds.
Oh, Lord. Okay, I don't know. I give up.
Let's open it to the public. Public hearing is open on tab. Oh, we already did?
That's the
Oh.
first thing you do.
Thank you very much.
Move approval?
Second.
Yes.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve the item at tab F. The motion was seconded by Councilwoman Keys. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
The item passes with a 4-1 vote. Tab G, proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, approving the city administration's competitive selection of DBF Construction LLC as the lowest responsible contractor to furnish labor, equipment, materials, and expertise required to perform the Northwest 8th Avenue Water Main Improvement Project. Further authorizing the interim city manager and city attorney to negotiate and execute an agreement with the selected contractor for the provision of services in an amount not to exceed $441,049. In accordance with the terms, conditions, and specifications contained in invitation for bid number 75-18-19, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes. Tab G.
Once again, council members, the item that you have before you represents the results of solicitation number 75-18-19. It was issued by the Purchasing Department to request bids from qualified and experienced contractors for the Northwest 8th Water Main Improvement Project. As reflected in the council report that was submitted in support of this item, the city received 13 sealed bids in response to its solicitation, which were also reviewed by the staff and the engineering consultant, Craven Thompson and Associates. The final results of this valuation and the bid tabulation is located on the second page of your report. As a result of the bid tabulation, staff is recommending award to the construction firm DBF Construction LLC as the lowest responsive and responsible bidder for an amount not to exceed $441,049 and a timeline for completion of 210 days from the issuance of a notice to proceed. The scope of work, once again, is similar to the other project, includes a replacement of existing water lines with a new water main running for approximately 1,400 linear feet. A copy of the solicitation, the plans, the specifications, and the bid proposal are all included and attached as part of the council report for your review. Again, in support of this item is the city's Public Works Director, Mr. Pierre Lewis, and myself. And if you have any questions, we'll be glad to take them.
Quick question, what is the address?
The locations for the Northwest 8th Avenue project are from 140th Terrace to 143rd Street along Northwest 8th Avenue approximately.
Okay. And the previous one, do you remember the address? Hmm?
It's in District 3. What?
Yes.
The address.
Sorry?
The fifth place. So
For fifth place, it's in the vicinity of Northeast 145th Street between Northeast 5th and 6th Avenue, Northeast 143rd Street between 5th and 6th Avenue, and then along Northeast 5th Place between 143rd and 145th Street.
thank you very much. And let's open it to the public. Public hearing is open on tab G. Public hearing is now closed.
Move approval.
I have a question.
Yes.
Sure, second. And I have a question.
Second with questions.
Sure. When will this project start? When will they start and when will they be completed?
The project starts, well, once we get approval, it typically takes about 2 months to get a contract executed, and the contract duration is 210 days from notice to proceed.
You said 210
210
days?
days.
Okay. Thank you.
Let me ask you a quick. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna ask, can you clarify why we're doing something outside of the city line?
Sure. Our water service area extends beyond city limits. They extend roughly from Northeast 163rd Street to Northeast 105th Street. Those are the northern and southern boundaries. And then from the Bay to Northwest 27th Avenue. So because our water distribution system extends throughout that whole area, we're responsible for the maintenance of the water mains in that whole area.
Thank you very much. A quick question, and between last council and this council, you spent $5.3 million on water and sewer project. Is that correct?
Approximately?
Yes, sir. Those are the approximate numbers.
And that money was in the budget.
Yes, sir.
Do you have an idea of how much total are we going to spend throughout the year for water and sewer project? You have.
I do not have a total for you right now, but I can provide you with that information.
Can you make it public? How much money are we spending on water and sewer project? It seems like sometimes residents said we don't spend money on water and sewer project, and we don't put those out. Between last week and this week, we spent $5.3 million on water and sewer project alone.
Well,
Yes, go ahead.
No. But last week we borrowed, so we didn't spend it.
It's the same thing.
Well, not if we borrow it. We spending now. Are we?
We are
spending this
spending
one? Or are
It's
we?
water infrastructure. That's even though we borrow the money, we got to do the work gonna be done, Councilman.
No.
We're
that
talking about the
no,
work.
well, that's you say in reference to the money part. But that 4.2, it's supposed to be used in the budget. It's my understanding, right, Mr. Manager?
The money is still there, and it's gonna be saving
Yes, sir.
toward the
Mhm.
next fiscal year budget,
Okay.
which is better. But the money is spending. We are spending $5.3 million in water and sewer project, and those projects gonna be done. And that's what it is. And yeah, if you can provide a report on how much money was allocated for the entire budget total between water and sewer project. Things
We'll have
will
that in
be-
our city update next week, next council meeting, sir.
Thank you very much. And can I hear a motion on tab G?
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to
Oh, yeah,
approve the item at tab G. The motion was seconded by Councilwoman Estime Irvin. All in
With a
favor?
question. No, with a question. Did you answer?
I did ask.
Oh,
the
okay,
question. Thank
okay,
you.
sorry. Thank you very much. Okay. Madam Clerk, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Item passes with a 4-1 vote. Tab H, proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, authorizing the interim city manager to issue purchase orders to Port Consolidated, Inc. for the purchase and delivery of unleaded gasoline and diesel fuel for city-owned vehicles in an amount not to exceed $900,000 per year. In accordance with the Southeast Florida Governmental Purchasing Cooperative Group, RFP number E-13-17, in order to maintain a continuous supply and delivery of motor fuel as required for city operations, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes. Tab H.
Once again, council members, the item that you have before you is staff's request for your approval to exercise a 2-year renewal of the city's agreement with Port Consolidated Incorporated for the purchase and delivery of unleaded gas and diesel fuel for the city's vehicle fleet on an as-needed basis. As reflected in the council report that was submitted to you in support of this item, on April 12, 2017, this council authorized the issuance of purchase order to Port Consolidated based on a contract awarded through the Southeast Florida Governmental Purchasing Cooperative Group on behalf of 38 participating agencies, of which the city of North Miami is a part of. This was an initial 3-year term with an additional option to renew for 2 more years, which is now before you. In order to take advantage of the favorable rates that are achieved through this regional cooperative agreement and to ensure an uninterrupted supply of fuel to maintain the city's vehicle operations, staff recommends approval of this option to renew for an additional 2 years with Port Consolidated. Here with me in support of this item is the city's vehicle fleet manager, Mr. Jefferson Geimer. In the event that you have any questions regarding the logistical requirements for this item. Thank you.
Let's open it to the public. Public hearing is open. Tab H.
Good evening, Bob Pashon, 13005 Coronado Terrace. I just have a question. $900,000 for fuel seems like a lot. So during the 3 years of the last contract, how much did we spend?
That's your question? Okay. Can you have an eye?
Good evening, Jeff Geimer, Capital Project Manager, City of North Miami. On average, over the last 3 years, because of price fluctuations, of course, we've spent in the ballpark of $700,000 per year.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Public hearing is still open. Public hearing is now closed. Do you have questions on
Yes.
the dais? Yes.
So you said you used 700,000 last year,
Approximately $700,000.
and the year before that,
About the same.
about the same. So
What
why are you estimating another 200,000?
Well, what this does is gives us a maximum, and due to price fluctuations in the market, fuel prices have been relatively low the last few years. If you go back about 4 years, you'll remember fuel prices were probably about $1 more a gallon, so we were spending a lot more at that point in time. So what this is an annual contract, so we're giving ourselves a little bit of leeway just in case. Of course, if we don't need to spend it, we're not going to spend it.
If I may, Councilwoman, just to add to the Capital Projects Manager's answer, Fleet is also an internal service fund, which means it's its own fund. these monies do not move over to the general fund. They're only for fleet. If they do spend less money in fuel, the money stays inside the fleet department. And then whatever fuel we purchase is in our fuel tanks.
So why don't we
So-
just, why we estimate, again, why can't we just leave it at, let's say, 800,000 or less than that amount? If there's a need, why don't you just come back to us instead of, I'm not understanding the
and-
reason.
and
I
the-
understand the fluctuation, but how are you, what mathematical method are you using?
If I may, also, and calculated, I'm almost sure in the capital projects manager's number is that we do have a purchase order in place during hurricane season, and we have our stuff in place when we can order the fuel as needed. So it's just something we do. If it's the board's will to lower the number, we'll lower the number.
Yeah, it is the board's.
That's
will
not
to
what we
lower.
said. You gotta say, last year it was 900,000. We
Well, it
spent
was-
700, and the
it was
200,000 is at the
It's still
bank.
there.
That's what it is. If the price of gas went up in $3.50, that's mean you have to pay. You have to use the gas. That's what it is. You just that's the cap, but it can be 200,000 or $100,000.
If I may.
What I,
Go ahead.
so I understand that. What I'm suggesting is that let's just lower it. That's all I'm
For a
suggesting.
gallon of gas,
Can
we
I,
know where
uh,
we
Can I ask a quick
there's
question?
things that in the city that's to keep the city. Those are
No.
operation service to the city. Those are operation. Those are not things for us to just.
No,
it's-
Mr. Mayor, if you allow me, I understand what Councilwoman Irving is getting at. My question is, the last resolution that we did the previous year, Mr. Geimer, were the resolution presented at 900, or what was the amount that it was presented? If it was presented at 900, then I'm okay with doing it, but what was it before in?
Yes,
What-
it was presented at
Okay.
$900,000. What we estimated, we use about 300,000 gallons a year.
Okay,
So what we're putting in a number at is $3. Right now, we're purchasing it around, 2.25. But as price fluctuates, if something happens and prices go up to, 3.25, this gives us that leeway so that we could still stay in that ballpark. But we purchase about 300,000 gallons a year
okay.
in fuel.
I still have more questions.
Go ahead.
So, Alberto, you mentioned that this was a 3-year contract with 2-year renewal. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So the 3-year has expired. We're coming at the renewal.
That's correct.
And you're recommending that we do a automatic 2-year renewal, or why aren't we doing just a yearly renewal?
Well, that's the option that you have to exercise.
Okay.
A 2-year option. I suppose if it's the will of the council, if you want to lower it to 1 year, I suppose we could do that. But the initial approval was back in 2017 in April for a 3-year term. So it's now up for renewal, and that's what we're recommending. It's the 2-year renewal, but it's the council's pleasure.
I have
You
a
have any-
technical question, Mr. Estrada. In the package that we received, the sample of City of Pompano Beach contract, is that a sample for us to look, or is this is not no piggyback? This is just
No, that's the way this works. This is a cooperative. This is a regional cooperative. It's the Southeast Florida Regional Cooperative, and it's made up of 38 different participating agencies. And what typically will happen, you'll have a lead agency that will do the procuring of the contract, and it so happens that it was the City of Pompano Beach. So they're the lead agency, but this is a cooperative purchase, where all agencies participate in this. It's different than a piggyback, because a piggyback is where a particular agency, they award a contract, and then we make a decision to, as the word says, to piggyback on that contract. This is a regional cooperative purchase, so it's different. There was a participation from all the agencies, but the lead agency was the City of Pompano Beach. So this happens to be the contract, again, that all of these agencies are using.
okay. So if this, which I understand, but it still sounds to me like a piggyback. That's just me.
Do you have any other question?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Carol, no question.
Motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion to approve made by, I have a motion made by Councilwoman Keys to approve the item at tab I. The motion was seconded by Councilwoman Estimate Irvin. All in favor? All opposed? Item passes with a 5-0 vote.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tab J, proposed ordinance, first reading of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida.
Did you skip tab I?
Yeah, he did. She did.
Tab I.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I did. Tab I, proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, declaring that certain city-owned real property located in various areas of the city are surplus and no longer needed by the city. Authorizing the interim city manager to dispose of said property by offering them for sale, subject to certain conditions, and providing for an effective date and for all other purposes. This item was tabled from the February 11th, 2020 council meeting.
Once you're done, I want to say a few words
Okay.
since it's my item. Go ahead.
That's your idea. You
Yeah,
got to
no, I
talk
wanted
first.
the manager's
Oh,
going to
you
speak,
want-
but I would.
Okay.
This item, as the clerk stated, was tabled at the last meeting, and we did table the item. I felt that we needed more information. These are, I think we have approximately four items. The list was about 6 or 7 the last time, but we had to go back and review and actually catalog all of the properties. And some of the properties we did take off the list. Tanya will do a presentation, a brief presentation. I believe it's only maybe 5 or 6 slides on each one of the properties and what the properties are zoned for, and a picture of the property, so the board will be aware of exactly what properties and what the property looks like that we are getting ready to surplus and move forward.
Oh, okay, just before Ms. Wilson does the presentation, I asked the previous city manager to put this item on the agenda because I was getting a couple of questions from residents. I had one property in this particular instance of 135th Street and 4th Court that's been vacant between 2 homes for the past 5 years. My preference, as everyone knows, and I've spoke to the previous manager about this, if we could either do something ourselves within the property, and I was told that we're not in the business of actually building, keeping stuff they wanted to add it to the tax roll. So my purpose for this intent for this item is to really kind of hear what my colleagues on this dais, what are the ideas or what we should do with these properties, because I'm hearing from homeowners who are stuck in between that we need to either develop it into something or do something with these particular properties. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the record.
We need
Tanya
the
Wilson.
locations, most likely. Go ahead. The locations.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
include
yeah,
that. So I
yeah.
have a presentation of the 4 lots that the city manager mentioned before. Just for the record, Tanya Wilson with Community Planning and Development. I walk you through the location of each lot and just give you some information on the zoning and the background. So you have some profile of each of these locations. So this one has the address of 665 Northwest 130th Street. It's located on the west side of the city. It's zoned C1 commercial. It's also located within that area that's been designated as a Chinatown district. It's located in the Planned Corridor Overlay District. So what that means is that this lot actually has a density of up to 100 dwelling units per acre, maximum height of 200 feet because of the overlay that it's located within. The lot size is estimated at 10,163 square feet in size, so it's a little bit under a quarter of an acre. It's vacant currently, so there's no structure on the property. Based on the property appraiser background information we found, it's estimated at $162,608 today. This one again is located in District 4. The second property that you'll see on the screen has an address of 12505 Northwest 11th Avenue. This one is zoned R2, so it's a single family residential district that has a maximum height of 35 feet. It's in the Sunkist Grove area actually, and it's considered just residential development in that area. The lot size is estimated at 8,730 square feet. And the property value that we found on property appraiser says $78,570. Again, this is District 4. The next lot has an address of 13715 Northwest 3rd Avenue. This one also is zoned R2, so that's a single-family designation, maximum height 35 feet. The lot size is estimated at 7,150 square feet. It is a vacant lot. The one before, I'm sorry, I failed to mention, actually has a structure. It's dilapidated and would require some level of rehab. This one that we're looking at is a vacant parcel, so there's no structure on site. Estimated value of $56,971. And again, this one is located in District 4. This address is 975 Northwest 132nd Street. This too has a single family designation, a zoning of R2, maximum height 35 feet, estimated lot size 7,920 square feet. It is a vacant lot. There's no structure on that property. Estimated value of $71,351. And again, this one is located in District 4. So all 4 lots are located in District 4. You'll notice that 3 are residentially zoned. There's one that is commercially zoned that's located in the Chinatown district. Just also want to point out, as the mayor and council considers what to do with these lots, that there's actually a Florida statute, and I'm going to read that into the record. That's statute 166.0451, as it relates to affordable housing, that requires cities, if there are lots within a single family district that could be considered for affordable housing, cities are required to put those lots on the record at a public hearing like we're doing now in the form of a resolution to make the public aware that these lots are available and could be used for affordable housing. And then the statute goes on to say that if in fact the city puts these lots up for some type of bidding process, that there should be a restrictive covenant or something in place that encourages the buyer, whether it be a community development organization or a CDC, to retain the affordability of these units. So it is one of the strategies through the Florida statute that's encouraged for local governments to consider when we're thinking about resolving the issues of affordable housing. So just another measure. So that's Florida statute 166.0451 that we want to place on the record.
Also, Tanya, with 975 and the 13715, that's the one that I was talking about. I did ask the homeowners around there if a pocket park would have been the first option. We did, and ironically, this was a couple of years ago. They said no, simply because, is that one the 137 4th? Is that one gated? Did we end up putting a fence around it? Because part of the complaint was, and the reason that they didn't want a pocket park is because of, you know, the kids around there playing around at night and doing other things. So that was the first option we did at X in reference to putting a little pocket park there in that. Yeah, that one in the
one on the screen.
Yes, that one and the one on 132nd. The problem is they always using it as a free parking spot. So you'll pass by, a yellow school bus will be parked there or a big truck. And so the people adjacent to it, they've been going with this for the past few years. And the other issue is we have not kept up with, because I remember I had to take you out there one day to look how crazy it is. We had to clean it up, just trying to keep it up with that. So.
Thank you very much. Let's open it to the public. Public hearing is open. On tab I.
Good evening, Howard Tonkin, 12600 Griffith. I'm sorry, Judy, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you. Ladies first.
Yes.
Thank you. Judy Brown, Northwest 128 Terrace, Sunkist Grove. My question is this: since we have such a shortage in affordable housing, is it possible to get Habitat for the Homeless to come in and somehow, I see this happening all over, where they build houses for people and everybody participate, and these families have houses to live in. That was my question.
Thank you very much. Public hearing still open.
Howard Tonkin, 12600 Griffin. My concern with this is how are we thinking about climate change and rising sea level in the stewardship of these properties moving forward? So if you're going to sell them, one day, maybe in 5 or 10 years or sooner, I don't know when it will be, we'll be having the conversation about no more construction of single-family homes, because that will be something of the past as sea level rises. So these are properties that could be used as, you know, it just makes me a little concerned when I hear, you know, we asked the residents and they didn't want a pocket park, but sometimes residents need things that they don't realize that they need. And, you know, we should all have parks. We have a shortage of parks in this city. And it just concerns me, having been through a history of, you know, land trying to be being sold in our city very cheaply, and how this could be really something to enrich.
When that happens, sir? I've been in the city for 6 years. We never had that situation.
When what?
Selling things for cheap.
Well, it was only because we got up here and begged you please not to sell a piece of waterfront property for $4,000 that it wasn't sold. So I'm just concerned to see more properties being sold and what the use of that property is going to be. Because, you know, we need water mitigation, we need passive green space, kids need parks. You know, when you're saying, oh, well, there's kids playing in there in the park, well, great, kids should have green space and parks. So, you know, I think that these properties should be developed into parks, or you know, maybe the commercial lot obviously should be used for commercial purposes. But, you know, there's a real, especially in District 4, there's a real lack of access to green space and parks for kids, and I think that it should be for a passive purpose and addressing rising sea level and water mitigation. I would like to know, for example, what is the elevation of the properties that you're talking about? This matters. And you say that the city's not in the business of developing and building properties. I think in the future the city will have to be, because we have an impending humanitarian crisis in our city, and it does relate to this issue. Thank you.
William Prevotel, 11950 North Bay Shore Drive. Just in following up on this concern for the parks, sometimes these miscellaneous lots do not lend themselves to being a park. There's a maintenance concern, there's the proximity to the neighbors, and so on. However, maybe there could be a compromise. Maybe some of the sale of these, maybe the proceeds could go towards parks, possibly in that same area that has sort of given up that land. Maybe that could be reattributed to that particular district. Whether it's an existing park or to get the right piece of property to create the right park in that neighborhood. So therefore, it would be sort of a win-win. We'd be able to collect on that, we'd be able to do the urban infill as we should, and we'd have a park by choice rather than by default, which would be a nice way to do that. Thank you.
Laura Hill, 13075 Griffin Boulevard. Whether we sell the lots or we keep the lots to use for affordable housing, or whichever direction we take on these lots, I think it's important to maintain the lots. Looking at these, a lot of the maintenance looks like it's been derelict. If some of these properties were owned by city residents, they would be in danger of being fined by code compliance. So we need to really have the city lead by example by making sure that if they own this land, they're making it clean and attractive to the neighborhood and not actually detracting from the neighborhood. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council members. Kevin Burns, 2065 Alamanda Drive. I went around and saw all these properties, and you've seen them all here. It is a sad state of affair that the city allowed city-owned property to deteriorate into the condition, and as Laura just said, if it was a regular resident, they would have been cited a dozen times, overgrown trees and fences and berms and so forth. And if people are parking semi-trucks and buses on a private piece of property, that's a law enforcement issue, and they should be notified that we don't allow that to happen. But going back to these properties, we have a CRA, remove slum and blight, affordable housing. We own the land. We have a housing authority that you just put millions of dollars for rehabbing and for to recondition people's houses. Yet we have property we own already. One of the biggest costs of building a new house is the land cost, land value. I thought Judy had a great idea. Do something with Habitat for Humanity. You have the house, people put sweat equity in, let that be our contribution, you get it on the tax rolls. I think it is foolish for us to sell these properties because the values that are up there aren't really going to be realistic properties that the value we're going to get. The house that's deteriorated, it's directly across from Sasso Pool, that's all boarded up. We should either have the building department say, as a condition of sale, the house must be torn down, or yes, it could be rehab. You want to say we're not in the business of rehabbing? We own apartment buildings that we rehabbed. We have a housing department. What are we doing if we're not creating housing? So why don't we let one of the companies bid, rehab that house, and sell it to somebody, whatever mechanism you have, to somebody who can afford that. And the other thing is the commercial property on 130th and 6th Avenue. It's adjacent to our other city-owned land, which is the fire department. The fire department is trying to rebuild that station. We own the land where that station was because that used to be our fire department before we went to the county. That lot in the back was supposed to be additional parking if they ever needed it. So if they go to rebuild your fire department in your district, Alex, they're going to need to have a satellite office, which would perfect sense to go on that vacant lot we have now. Let them rebuild that fire department, which they're trying to do. Why would we sell land we already own adjacent to a new fire department property that we wanted? Did anybody talk to the fire department and say, yes, we need it, we don't? And also, previous councils at one point in time gave away the east side of on 130th Street where it dead ends to I-95. And Williams, the moving company, built their building on half the street, and half the street went to this lot. And to enter that property is a very narrow access. In just a few 4 seconds, that especially that property. All the other ones ought to be single-family homes. By the way, some of those lots are non-conforming. They're not the minimum square footage that we require as a single-family home.
Thank you
But
very
the one
much.
next to the fire department, we should hold on to for the time being.
Thank you very much. Public hearing still open. Public hearing is now closed.
Mr. Mayor, can I say something? You know what's so interesting is, I don't know who said anything about selling. The first statement that I made before I opened my mouth when I presented this was like, I am one who does not want to sell, because I have had that conversation with our city manager, the former city manager. Mr. Burns, in reference to the fire station, the manager mentioned that they wanted to, purchase that particular property to extend their fire station. But folks are making assumptions or coming up here saying whatever. I think, this is just an idea that I'm getting from, Okay, well, then I apologize. The intent, which I mentioned up here, is to try to find direction as far as what we wanted to do as a city in terms of going forward with these properties. One of them been there for 5 years. The other one has been there for 4 years. And I've called code on the one on 132nd. The one on 137th or 4th, if you see it, Mr. Howard, it's in between two homes. And these are single-family homes. And it's not being kept very properly. So I do understand the neighbors if they said, I do not wish for this to be a park because it's not in a area that's in a corner. The one next to the, directly from the pool, Sasso Pool, it's been there for about 3 or 4 years. I didn't even know that we owned it. So these ideas, we wanted to hear from not only residents, but from the council, what direction on our policy that we wanted to go. If if selling is part of it, it's fine. If we want to keep whichever one, but we need to decide it, whatever that we need to do in terms of a council and a community. If not, it's going to be 5 years, and they still gonna be there. Because I'm pretty sure there's others around the city that's just been there for the past couple of years, and nothing has happened with the conversation. So we need to get these ideas on whatever that we need to do in terms of where we move forward with these particular properties.
Thank you very much. And since public hearing is closed, do you have any question, Councilwoman?
Well, yes, actually. City Attorney, could you kind of explain the statute that the director mentioned, statute 166.0451? Please.
166.04151
correct.
is state statute on affordable housing. It allows you to create any rule or adopt any rule to create affordable housing. So it's not a mandatory. It doesn't say that we can't sell the house on the market. It says if you want to establish some rule to give incentives to create affordable housing, you can.
Okay. Madam Director, please. Based on your professional experience, is there a particular property that you would suggest or recommend that we use as affordable housing?
Can we let, since he was a district for he was an item went by Vice Mayor Desulme, let him make the recommendation, but not staff. Staff already stated that if you want to build, even though if we're going to sell, whoever's buying have to build affordable housing. That's what she was saying.
That was my understanding.
In the statement, or
We're suggesting that at least there be a restrictive covenant so the property is not flipped just
It's
for profit.
that's when whoever's buying.
Okay.
Satisfying the affordable housing goal that
Absolutely.
you have in the comprehensive plan.
That was the
Because
thing.
when I had the conversation a couple months back with the former manager, I think it's within the county law, within a residence from North Miami, or somehow would get the a priority if that's something that we wanted to do in terms of that. I would say that the fire station, if the board would allow that, we do move forward. If they wanted to purchase it, the fire station, as far as that, the other ones, however that we wanted to do it, I'm totally open for. I would prefer if we could build it, since we are doing it, but again, I was told that it's better. I believe from your office and from the former manager that we let these go because they would be adding to the, could you explain that to us, Ms. Wilson?
So I think the conversation we had with the city manager was the fact that they could serve two purposes. One, to satisfy the affordable housing need in the city, but you also activate the lots so they become tax-generating lots, where now it's non-taxable because it's just vacant parcels that belong to the city. I also want to add that there are CHODOs, there are community development organizations that specialize in building affordable housing. They're HUD certified. This is the market that they're in to provide decent quality affordable housing. So certainly if the language is tailored in some kind of solicitation that you put out, you could tailor it to affordable housing developers so it stays within that arena.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry. Could we actually put that in any advertisement we did with preference given to affordable housing developers?
It's done all the time. It's a strategy that cities use, that you tailor it to the market with the folks who specialize in doing just that. They know how to build it. They know that the market that it's for. So it could be a community development corporation, or it could be a CHODO, a community development organization. You have several throughout the region that do that. Once you put a bid out, then it becomes competitive, and you go through the solicitation process for that. But that way, you keep the integrity of the process, and you make sure that it goes to the end user that it's intended for, a family that's within that income range that's looking for affordable housing.
But
so you have 3 or 4 that could fall in that category. You have one commercial, so that's a.
How would you make sure that because that's been one of my questions with our affordable housing initiative, that it's residents within the city or, that would meet those guidelines?
So the good thing is that you have a housing program here with an established guideline, and the guideline dictates who qualifies, the income range, the house size. So you already have the process that's in your books. You pretty much would just have to include that as a part of the language in your solicitation, that it will be based on the housing guidelines, first come, first served, vetted.
No, your question is related to
that.
whoever lived next to the property. Do you have preference?
My question would be, or recommendation, Mr. Mayor, if we could table this item in management, you talk to us individually as far as that, because we know I thought that I didn't know how this was written, as far as to sell, the intent was to kind of find out, we know what's out there, what exactly that we needed to do, because that option was giving, but along with some other options that the former manager and I had discussed it, I think, along with the attorney. So it perhaps if we could pull it and then
Yeah,
talk
but
to.
me, you know, my
Preference?
I don't have any preference. Whatever it's in District 4. Whatever you feel like. I'm pretty much sure you've been talking to residents or people who are on those lots. Whatever motion you wanna make, I'm
Can I ask a
willing to
question?
support that. No, we're gonna
Yeah,
ask you.
okay.
You know, yeah. Okay, I just wanna let you know this is my position. Yes.
Just a couple questions. First of all, we have 4 lots. Number one, I'd like to see us take each lot individually, not as a whole, we're not just selling the 4, because the way it's written is we're just gonna go ahead and get our appraisals and sell the 4. I'd like to look at them individually, which we've started to do. The one is vacant lot, which we can do like we did on 128th
There's
Street.
2 or 3.
No,
3.
there's only one vacant residential we're talking about.
No, there's
No,
2. There's
You have
2.
2 vacant residential.
Mhm.
One has a structure, which is this one, and
The
then
one by
the
the
last
pool.
one is a vacant commercially zoned lot
Oh, I
in
thought,
the overlay district.
so we don't have 2 houses? It's just.
No, they're not
You have
houses.
one derelict structure,
It's-
which is this one,
That's-
12505.
So
I
that's a
thought that's been knocked that down, no?
What
No,
happened to
that-
that
So
one?
what's
You
on
had burned?
130? Okay, so that's derelict, which needs to be knocked down?
It needs to be rehabbed, it needs to be assessed to
So that's
see
a
if it's
rehab.
worth
Okay, so that needs to
rehabbing
be
versus
rehabbed.
just demolition.
And
So
what
a
about the one
contractor
on
would need to look at it.
132nd?
137
That's
is
vacant?
Yeah, both
yeah,
of them
that's
are
a
vacant.
empty
I
lot.
thought, so
Yeah,
there's
this one
only
is
one.
vacant.
So does that house need to be torn down, or you said?
No, it's
vacant?
already
No,
torn
both.
down.
Already vacant.
It's vacant.
It's
And
just
the other,
grass.
and the third residential is a vacant lot?
Yes.
Yes, and that's been there for 5 years.
132
That's
is
this one.
vacant.
Third Avenue is vacant.
137 is vacant.
This one is vacant.
Mhm.
That has a structure.
This
and then this one is commercial, but it's also vacant. There's nothing there.
And
That
Yeah.
that's the
was
one, that's
demolished.
the one that you wanna
It's
sell
in
to
the
the fire
Chinatown
department?
district.
Well, I've heard that, I don't know, I don't want to do nothing, just
Yeah,
to
I
be
mean,
clear.
I
Yeah.
personally think that
The-
being where it is, I think it's a nice location.
Yeah,
I wouldn't jump to sell that, but the other
Good.
3, maybe talk to the councilman, it's like what we did on, was it 128th Street? We did the senior affordable
That-
So
housing.
you have a green elderly housing that's right now going through that affordable housing process with a CDC
That's a
actually.
CHODO,
Yes,
right?
Yes, you have
Yeah,
a
that
community
would be-
development corporation.
That
that's
might be
working on
something
that.
you wanna look at
that's what I
before we
wanted
sell.
You
to
have a
do
model
with the
there,
one
you're
by the
right.
pool.
You do have a model there.
That's what I
Right.
wanted to do with the one by the pool from, the yellow, the one across
This
from,
one.
Okay, since we are
This
moving, you wanna do a motion to do?
well,
you wanna
I don't want to
table
make
or
any
what you wanna
motion,
do?
if I could table it, but I do like the idea is let's keep, I just want to be clear what we're doing so that we all be on the same page. I like the idea of keeping the one by the fire station. Let's do that, and I think that one is not really an issue. The other 3, let's do the affordable housing for the one next to, I guess, Sasso Pool, and the other 2 vacant lot. I think those could be, whatever that because we need something there with guidance.
Could you just split them up into like 4 different items so we can?
It's not
Let's
full.
do that. Let's do that. So why don't we pull it and then we'll bring it one at a time. We'll address it like that.
Sounds good.
No,
Thank you.
4
Yeah, that's
separate
what-
items.
Four separate,
Okay.
4 separate items.
Okay,
Yeah.
and Councilman Estime, you were saying something.
I'm fine with, I'm fine with the decision that we made now.
No,
Vice Mayor Desome, do you want to make that motion to table?
It's not.
I'll make a motion for.
what is your motion?
Yes, my motion is let's table the item, and then we'll come back and split it individually.
I'll second that.
Okay. I have a motion made by.
You wanna say something? Oh,
I have a motion made by Vice Mayor Desome to table the item at tab I. The motion was seconded by Councilwoman Keys. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes with a 5-0 vote. Okay. Tab J, Proposed ordinance, first reading of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, establishing the Arch Creek East controlled residential parking area located on 135th Street, east of Biscayne Boulevard, pursuant to Chapter 11 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinance entitled Licenses and Business Regulations at Article 12, Controlled Parking Residential Areas limited to those who live in proximity to the zoned area, providing for inclusion in the Code of the City of North Miami, and providing for an effective date. Tab J.